Hello, beautiful people from YouTube. My name is Mania, and today I'm talking about Beautiful by Christina Lauren. Now, this is the 10th and final book of the whole Beautiful Bastard series. This is about Jensen and Pippa. Now, Jensen is the older brother of Hannah and the best friend of Will. That couple is from Beautiful Pale. And Pepper is the best friend of Ruby from Beautiful Secret. So this is about them. And this one is kind of like a fake dating because Justin was married for a good amount of time in life. And he just got a divorce. And so he going to the airport because he meet his sister and Will and her friends and his friends into like a couple retreat. And Pippa, it also mean, Ruby and Ruby and Niall and his friends. And so the couples that are on the group is Hannah and Will, Niall and Ruby, and Johnson and Pippa. It only 3 couples. Now, now with them, they're not a couple. Then they going there for a holiday. So of course, she live in London, and he is not coming, but leaving London as well because he had a job, and so he's leaving. So she never ever left London. Never. So the is first time going in an airplane, leaving home for the first time. So what happens? She gets drunk. And she did talk and talk and talk. And before she left, she had a boyfriend. And he kind of cheated on her. Well, not kind of. He did cheat, and she got mad, and that way she left. And so that way she going to a holiday, and this holiday they going to different places and not just one area. And then going different. It is a wine tasting area. And she get drunk in the airplane, and she did talking to the guy about her boyfriend. He cheated and all this. And she did drinking and drinking. And she talking to the guy. And the guy, they don't want nothing to do with her. And they pretend to fall asleep. And then the reason I said that because later on in the book, when they meet up with all the friends, turned out that friend and Pippa and Justin are the friends that going into the holiday. So they're the only ones that are not a couple. So a lot of drama. So Justin's ex-wife happened to be there. So Justin's wife got remarried. So she, got remarried, and she is happily married. And Jensen don't know what to do because he's been alone all the time. He never really dated anybody after she got a divorce. So he kind of panicked and says that Pippa is his wife. So it kind of like a fake marriage, a good chunk of the book. And throughout the time, then getting to know each other, and then build a friendship, relationship way, and one day or other then got together, and of course everything needs to go back to normal. And when that does, people are not the type of girl that be like, hey, you're my boyfriend, take a chick. No. People are like, hey, I have fun, I'm cool, let talk when I in town or you in town, we should meet up. She is that type of person. Now Jensen is a workaholic and he doesn't really talk to anybody that much. So Pepper and Jensen are going to different wine tastings and having a fake marriage because Jensen's wife is there with a new husband. And it was kind of Pippa's idea, but she didn't want it to be there for support for him, so he would be so alone and not be like, yeah, I help myself with all of the couples. So people kind of help him with that. I kind of like really calm him down in a way. And so throughout the book, they also getting to know each other. And then the top of that, they do have a friendship, turn into a little bit more, and then they get home. Now here the mess up part in a way. They get home and people in that like, let me be your girlfriend right away. No, because he lived in Boston, she lived in London, and they both knew that about each other. And they both knew that. So, while she in Boston, she have two moms with her mom. No, she don't really have a dad. She have two moms, and throughout the time, she is falling for Jensen. She don't want to because, like I said, in the beginning of the book, or ex-boyfriend cheat, that same week, she meet Benson, have a fake marriage. They were there for 3 weeks, being a fake couple, and throughout the last week of the trip, then dude became something more, but nothing big, and she was okay with that. But she was like falling in love with him, and she didn't want it that because she just got out in a bad. It wasn't a bad relationship. It was just her boyfriend cheated and she just don't want nothing to do. So when she go back to London, she was working. She went back to her job, and she did look at her life. And her boyfriend already moved out when she was gone. So she was by herself, and she just don't want to be there anymore. She wants to leave and do something different. So Hannah sent her so many into the job opportunities so she could like look out and get a job there at Boston. And right in the bottom is there is Jensen like house address, and she did want a bit change on her life. And London was already getting kind of boring for her, so she got a job interviews at Boston, and nobody really knew that, but like I said, she lived in London, and everybody lived in Boston. Any Ruby, well, Ruby still live in London, but she was already moving to Boston, so technically she was by herself. So that's why she wanted to live in Boston with the Ruby and Niall and the whole gang. And she didn't really thought about Benson at all. Jensen. She never really thought about Jensen. Even though she did care for him and want to be with him, she just don't want to worry about that. So Jensen, here's the thing, Jensen is very complicated. Not that much like Naya was, but just a little bit. Because even though she didn't want to talk and let to hang out and not be a couple, because she knew in the end nothing didn't happen. But like I said, she was getting feelings for Jensen, and she did wanted, to talk to him and say goodbye before she go back to London. He was too busy and they were working, so she did left, but it was already time for her to leave back to London. So on time he find out she was already gone until like a week ago. So he was kind of like mad, and not mad but disappointed that she never said goodbye. So he goes, then get back together. I know I didn't tell you the end, but of course they always get back together in the very end. And what I like about this book is right in the very, very end of the book, you will get chapters about Will, Hannah, Bennett, and George. And then they talk about what is going on their life, what they think about. Like, Hannah and Will are trying to have a baby. Bennett and Corey are having a baby. Sarah and Matt are okay because they already had like 4 or 5 kids. And George happened to meet a guy named Will, since he always fell in love with Will from Beautiful Bastard, Beautiful, Will was always his dream guy. But he met a guy named Will. It was so funny. But yeah, you see him like later on, like how they're doing. And I always wanted to see Will and Hannah have a baby, just because you see Matt, you see Bennett, but in the beginning it was only those 3 couples, and all of a sudden it's so many different couples. So I always wanted to see Hannah and Will to have a baby, because those is my favorite couple, my favorite book, really. And that only ends. You just see them very happy and see them with a plan. Like everybody have plans to do something on their life. And yeah, so I don't know if Hannah will actually have a baby, But yeah, I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. That one is very, I don't want to say funny, but that one is not funny, but you do read it very quick. So, five stars. So my next book, I got 2 books. I have Rusty Nail, that is book 2 of Albino, and I got Doggo. So I wonder what I get. Oh yeah. Okay. I got Doggo by Leo James. It but 2 from the Christian point of view. So there is 50 Shades of Doggo by Christian point of view. I am trying to read every book because on free I am buying 50 books, and that will be one of the 50 books. So I did take my time reading these, but when I read Gray, I read it very quick. So hopefully I didn't try and read a little bit of that one tonight. So yeah, so 5 out of 5 stars on Beautiful, and it is the last and final book of the whole Beautiful series by Christina Lauren. So I got my Goodreads Instagram link down below. Thank you for watching. Bye.